Ambassador Min Jun Park sat in the waiting room for the 5th time this week. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that changed colors every few minutes. Purple, then blue, then green. It was pretty, but Min Jun was tired of looking at it. He had been waiting here for 3 months now. The Galactic Central Assembly Station was huge. It floated in space near the center of the galaxy, bigger than Earth's moon. Millions of aliens lived and worked here. They came from 847 different worlds. All of them were smarter than humans. Or, so they said. Min Jun looked at his watch. 2 hours had passed since his appointment time. His assistant, Dr. Lee Soo-young, sat next to him reading a data pad. She was trying to learn more about alien cultures. So far, she had learned that most aliens thought humans were stupid. Still nothing? Asked Captain Kim Tae-ho. He was the military advisor on their team. He did not like waiting either. Nothing, Minjun said. They keep saying the council is busy. A tall blue alien walked past them. It had 6 arms and no face that Minjun could see. It did not look at the humans at all. Most aliens here acted like humans did not exist. Dr. Lee closed her data pad. I found something interesting. The assembly has rules about new species. They have to prove they are civilized before getting full membership. What does that mean? Captain Kim asked. No one knows. The rules are secret. Min Jun stood up and walked to the reception desk. Behind it sat a Zephyrian named Vex High. Zephyrians looked like giant insects with silver skin. This one had been ignoring Min Jun for weeks. Excuse me, Min Jun said politely. We have been waiting for 3 months to speak with the council. When can we get our meeting? Vex High did not look up from his work. The council is very busy. Important matters require their attention. Our colonies are being attacked. People are dying. Is that not important? Now Vex High looked up. His compound eyes reflected light like mirrors. Young species often have growing pains. The council cannot solve every small problem. Small problem? Min Jun felt angry but kept his voice calm. 17 of our colonies have gone silent. That is not small. Perhaps you built your colonies in dangerous places. The galaxy is full of risks for unprepared species. Dr. Lee came to stand next to Min Jun. We sent distress signals. We followed all the proper channels. No one answered our calls for help. Vex High made a sound like clicking metal. It might have been laughter. Help? The assembly helps those who can help themselves. Humans are still learning how to live in space. 1. Captain Kim joined them at the desk. We have been in space for 200 years. 200 years? Vex High clicked again. Your species is still in diapers. Min Jun took a deep breath. Getting angry would not help. Then, teach us. Guide us. That is what the assembly is for. Right. The assembly guides those who are ready to be guided. Humans are not ready. When will we be ready? Vex High looked at a screen on his desk. Our experts estimate another 1,000 years. Maybe 2,000. Come back then. Dr. Lee stepped forward. 1,000 years? Our people are dying now. All species face challenges. The strong survive. The weak do not. This is how evolution works. Min Jun felt sick. You are saying we should just die? I am saying the galaxy does not revolve around human problems. The council has more important things to worry about. Lose. Endo. We knew. Lose gom. Lose gom. Lose gom. They returned to their seats. Min Jun put his head in his hands. 3 months of this. 3 months of being treated like children. Meanwhile, his people were disappearing. His communication device buzzed. It was a message from Earth. Min Jun read it and felt his blood turn cold. What is it? Dr. Lee asked. Colony 7. They found the wreckage. Everyone is dead. The attack ships used assembly technology. Captain Kim leaned forward. Assembly technology? Are you sure? Min Jun showed them the report. Energy weapons? Shield generators? Hull designs? All of it matches assembly standards. Dr. Lee was quiet for a moment. That means assembly members did this. Or someone with assembly weapons, Captain Kim said. Min Jun stood up and walked back to the reception desk. Vex High was still there, still ignoring the world around him. We have new information about the attacks on our colonies, Min Jun said. Oh? Vex High did not look up. The attackers used assembly technology, assembly weapons, assembly ships. Now Vex High looked up. His compound eyes seemed brighter. That is a serious accusation. It is not an accusation. It is a fact. We have wreckage. We have scan data. Many species have access to old assembly technology. Pirates steal things. Merchants sell weapons. This proves nothing. Then investigate it. Send assembly peacekeepers to protect our remaining colonies. Vex High made that clicking sound again. Peacekeepers are for protecting assembly members. Humans are not members. We applied for membership. We are waiting for approval. Yes, you are waiting. That could take a very long time. Min Jun stared at the alien. The truth was becoming clear. The assembly did not want humans as members. They wanted humans to disappear. How long? Min Jun asked. Hard to say. The council must review your application carefully. Maybe 50 years. Maybe 100. Dr. Lee grabbed Min Jun's arm. We need to go. They walked away from the desk. Captain Kim was already packing their equipment. What are you thinking? Dr. Lee asked. Min Jun looked around the waiting room. Other species came and went freely. They had meetings. They got answers. Only humans were ignored. I am thinking we are wasting our time here. So, what do we do? Min Jun thought about the dead colonies. He thought about the families who would never come home. He thought about the aliens, who acted like human lives did not matter. We send a message to Earth. We tell them the truth. What truth? The assembly will not help us. They want us gone. That night, Min Jun sent an encrypted message to President Lee Soo-jin on Earth. It was short and simple. They will not listen to words. They see us as insects. Our people are dying, and they pretend we do not exist. We need a new plan. President Lee Soo-jin stared at the reports on her desk. Each file told the same horrible story. Colony after colony had gone silent. First 1, then 5, then 10. Now 17 human settlements were gone. Admiral Kim Hae-jin entered the office. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes showed she had not slept much lately. Any word from our people? President Lee asked. Admiral Kim shook her head. Colony 12 sent a distress signal yesterday. Then, nothing. We lost contact 6 hours ago. President Lee opened another file. Pictures showed burned buildings and empty streets. The pattern is always the same. They destroy our defenses first. Then, they take everything else. Not everything, Admiral Kim said. They leave the children's toys behind. And family pictures. Like they want us to know families lived there. Dr. Chang Woo-suk knocked on the office door. He was Earth's best scientist for studying aliens. His face was pale. Come in, President Lee said. Dr. Chang placed a metal piece on the desk. It was twisted and burned. This is from Colony 15. We found it in the wreckage. Admiral Kim picked it up. What is it? Part of an energy weapon. But not just any weapon. This is Saurian Empire technology. President Lee felt cold. The Saurians are founding members of the Assembly. Yes. This weapon is only 3 years old. It has assembly registration codes. Admiral Kim set the metal down carefully. So, assembly members are attacking our colonies. It gets worse, Dr. Chang said. He pulled out a datapad. We broke the encryption on some enemy communications. Listen to this. He pressed play. Alien voices filled the room. The translation software made their words into English. Target the farming settlements first. Leave the mining colonies for last. What about survivors? Standard protocol. Males for labor. Females for breeding stock. Children for training. Duration of operation? High Command estimates 6 months to clear all human territories. The Assembly Council wants this finished before the next session. The room was quiet. President Lee felt sick. The Assembly was not just ignoring the attacks. They were ordering them. How many ships do we have? She asked Admiral Kim. The full fleet? Maybe 300 proper warships. Another 500 patrol boats. Some cargo ships we could arm. Remembering, please. 2-1. Against the entire galaxy? Admiral Kim was quiet for a moment. We would lose. Dr. Chang cleared his throat. There might be another way. Both women looked at him. The assembly station. It is where all the decisions are made. If we could get there, force them to listen. They have defenses, Admiral Kim said. Energy shields. Automated weapons. The station has never been attacked. Because no one was ever desperate enough to try, President Lee said slowly. She walked to the window. Outside, she could see the city. Millions of people going about their lives. They did not know their species was being hunted. How long do we have? She asked. Dr. Chang checked his data. Based on the pattern of attacks, maybe 2 months before they reach Earth. 2 months to save the human race. Admiral Kim stood up. If we are going to do this, we need every ship we can find. Military, civilian, everything that can fly. You are talking about taking our entire civilization to war, President Lee said. No, I am talking about taking our entire civilization to survive. President Lee turned back to them. What about the people on the outer colonies? The ones still alive? We evacuate everyone we can, Admiral Kim said. Load them onto the fleet. If we are going to make a stand, we all make it together. Dr. Chang pulled up a star map. The assembly station is here. Deep in their territory. We would have to cross half the galaxy. Through how many alien fleets? Admiral Kim asked. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. President Lee looked at the map. The human colonies were tiny dots scattered around Earth. The assembly controlled everything else. We cannot fight the whole galaxy, she said. We do not need to fight everyone, Admiral Kim said. Over the next few days, the plan took shape. Every human ship would meet at Rally Point Alpha, near the edge of human space. Civilians would board transport ships. The military would provide protection. Captain Park Min-soo commanded one of the evacuation fleets. His job was to collect survivors from the outer colonies. What he found there changed everything. Admiral, he radioed back to Earth, Colony 9 is gone. But I found something. What is it, Captain? Survivors hidden in the mountains. They saw the attack. The enemy ships had Zephyrian markings, and Altarian symbols, and vegan crew. Admiral Kim felt her blood run cold. Multiple species? Yes, ma'am. This was not one rogue group. This was a joint operation. Dr. Chang ran more tests on the wreckage. Each piece told the same story. The attacks were not random. They were planned, organized, approved. The Assembly Council knows, he told President Lee. They might have ordered it themselves. Why? She asked. What did we ever do to them? We exist. That seems to be enough. The evacuation ships began arriving at Rally Point Alpha. Thousands of them. Military destroyers flew next to family shuttles. Corporate cargo ships carried refugees from dead worlds. Everyone who could reach the rally point came. Admiral Kim stood on the bridge of the flagship. Outside the windows, she could see the largest human fleet in history. Not just warships, but hospital ships, supply vessels, civilian transports, entire families who had lost their homes. How many? She asked her aide. 3,200 ships total. About 12 million people. 12 million. Almost everyone who lived in space. They were betting everything on one desperate plan. President Lee joined Admiral Kim on the bridge. Any word from Ambassador Park? He sent one last message yesterday. The Assembly rejected our request for emergency hearings. They scheduled a meeting for 50 years from now. 50 years. They expect us to be extinct by then. President Lee looked out at the fleet. Children played in the corridors of transport ships. Families gathered in cargo bays. Old people told stories to help others stay calm. Admiral, I am ordering you to take command of this operation. Ma'am, I am coming with you. We all are. If humanity is going to die, we die together. If we are going to live, we face this as one people. Admiral Kim nodded. President Lee looked at the star charts. The assembly station was weeks away. Every day they waited. More humans died. Now, the human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the assembly system. 3,000 ships appeared at once, their engines cooling from the long journey. Admiral Kim Hae-jin stood on the bridge of the flagship, looking at the screens that showed enemy positions. Sensors show the assembly station ahead, reported Commander Oh Se-young. Distance: 2 million kilometers. Any response to our arrival? Admiral Kim asked. Nothing yet. Wait. Commander Oh paused. Long-range communications are lighting up across the system. Everyone is talking about us. The assembly station was beautiful and terrifying. It was shaped like a crystal flower, with dozens of arms reaching out from the center. Each arm was bigger than Earth's largest city. Lights moved along its surface like rivers of stars. How many people live there? Asked Colonel Pak Un-young, the Marine commander. 12 million, Commander Oh said. Representatives from 847 species, plus their families and staff. Families. Admiral Kim opened a communication channel. Assembly Defense Command. This is Admiral Kim Hae-jin of the Human Defense Fleet. We request immediate audience with the Galactic Council regarding attacks on human colonies. The answer came quickly. A voice filled with anger and disbelief. Human vessels, you are in violation of assembly space. Leave immediately, or face the consequences. We come in peace, Admiral Kim replied. We only want to speak with the Council. The Council does not negotiate with terrorists. You have 1 hour to leave assembly space. Admiral Kim looked at her crew. Everyone was waiting for her decision. Behind them, 3,000 ships carried the last free humans in the galaxy. Open a broadcast channel to the entire system, she ordered. Channel open, Admiral. Admiral Kim took a deep breath. People of the galaxy, I am Admiral Kim Hae-jin of Earth. For 3 months, we have tried to speak with the Assembly Council through proper channels. We have been ignored. Meanwhile, our colonies are being destroyed by ships using assembly technology. She nodded to Commander Oh, who began transmitting data files. We are sending proof of these attacks. Energy weapon signatures, ship designs, communication intercepts. All of it points to assembly member species hunting humans for sport and resources. Across the galaxy, aliens watched their screens in surprise. The humans were not just complaining. They had evidence. We do not come as conquerors, Admiral Kim continued. We come as victims seeking justice. We ask only for the protection promised to all civilized species. The Assembly Defense Director, a creature called Qual Vex, responded with fury. You dare accuse the Assembly of crimes? You primitive savages know nothing of galactic law. Then teach us, Admiral Kim said calmly. Show us this law that says humans can be hunted and killed. Qualthex did not answer the question. Instead, he sent orders to the patrol fleet. Destroy the human ships. All of them. 50 assembly warships moved to attack positions. They were beautiful vessels with silver hulls and blue energy shields. Each one was bigger and more advanced than any human ship. Incoming enemy fleet, reported Commander O. 50 vessels. They are charging weapons. Admiral Kim felt her heart beating fast. This was the moment that would decide everything. All ships, this is Admiral Kim. They have chosen violence over justice. Defend yourselves. The assembly ships opened fire first. Blue energy beams cut through space toward the human fleet. But the humans were ready. Captain Jung-Min Soo led the fighter squadrons. His small ships moved like schools of fish, weaving between the energy beams. All fighters, target their shield generators, use kinetic rounds. The assembly ships had powerful energy shields, but they were designed to stop energy weapons. The humans used old-fashioned metal bullets fired at incredible speeds. The bullets punched through the shields like paper. Impossible. Qualthex muttered, as his sensors showed shield failures across his fleet. Commander Park Ji-hoon commanded the missile ships. His vessels fired hundreds of guided rockets at each enemy ship. The assembly point defense systems could stop some missiles, but not all of them. Their defensive systems are confused, he reported. They expect energy weapons and gravity bombs. They are not ready for projectile warfare. The human tactics were simple but effective. Work together. Cover each other. Never fight fair. The assembly ships fought like knights in single combat. The humans fought like wolves in a pack. One by one, the assembly ships fell silent. Some were destroyed, others were disabled. A few tried to retreat but were chased down by human fighters. In 12 minutes, it was over. 50 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy had been defeated by primitive humans. Across the galaxy, species watched in shock. The assembly fleet had never lost a battle. Now they had been crushed by aliens who still used chemical rockets. This is impossible, whispered High Counselor Yithara on the assembly station. How did they do this? Her aide, a nervous Altarian, checked the battle reports. They fought. Differently. No honor. No single combat. They attacked in groups and used crude weapons. Crude weapons that worked. On dozens of worlds, alien leaders held emergency meetings. If humans could defeat assembly ships, what did that mean for galactic order? Some species felt fear. Others felt hope. Admiral Kim opened another broadcast. Assembly Defense Command. Your attack fleet is neutralized. We did not want this fight, but we will not run from it. We still request an audience with the Council. Qualthex was furious and scared. You will pay for this crime. The full assembly fleet will crush you. Maybe, Admiral Kim said. But first, the galaxy will see our evidence. They will learn what the assembly really is. The human fleet began moving toward the assembly station. They flew in perfect formation, with fighters screening the larger ships. It was beautiful and terrible to watch. On the station, emergency alarms were ringing. The defensive systems came online. Energy barriers strong enough to stop asteroids surrounded the structure. Weapon platforms that could burn planets began tracking the approaching humans. But across the galaxy, something else was happening. The evidence broadcast by the humans was being studied by alien scientists and leaders. What they found disturbed them deeply. On the world of Kepler Prime, the dolphin-like cetaceans called an emergency council meeting. These records show the assembly approved the human hunting. Their leader announced, if they can do this to humans, they can do it to us. On Rigel 7, the crystal-based silicoids analyzed the weapon signatures. These are recent assembly designs, their collective mind concluded. This was not ancient technology stolen by pirates. This was current military equipment. The human fleet was still hours away from the station, but the real battle had already begun. It was not a battle of weapons, but of truth. And truth was a force the Assembly had never learned to fight. The Assembly Station's defenses were legendary. Energy barriers that could stop solar storms surrounded the massive structure. Weapon platforms built into the station's arms could destroy entire fleets. The Assembly Guard, elite warriors from dozens of species, had never known defeat. Admiral Kim Hae-jin watched the defensive systems activate from her flagship's bridge. The energy shields turned the station into a glowing ball of light. Weapon turrets emerged from hidden panels. It was like watching a sleeping giant wake up. "Defensive strength?" she asked Commander. "The barriers can stop anything we have," he replied honestly. "And their weapons? Each turret has more firepower than one of our destroyers." Admiral Kim nodded. She had expected this. The Assembly had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They would not be easy to defeat. Good thing we are not planning to fight them head-on. Captain Young Min-soo contacted the flagship from his fighter squadron. "Admiral, we have studied their defense pattern. The barriers have weak spots." "Show me." The tactical display lit up with Young's analysis. The energy shields were incredibly strong, but they had to allow ships in and out of the station. There were gaps, tiny holes that opened and closed as traffic moved through. "The gaps only last a few seconds," Young explained. "But if we time it right." "You want to fly through their shields?" "Not through. Around. The barriers follow the station's shape, but there are maintenance areas and docking ports they cannot fully cover." Admiral Kim smiled. The Assembly built their defenses to stop massive fleets firing heavy weapons. They never expected small ships trying to sneak inside. "Do it. Take your fighters in. Find us a way." Jung's fighters moved toward the station like tiny silver fish. The Assembly weapons fired at them, but the human ships were fast and hard to hit. Most of the energy beams missed their targets. "Defense Director Qualvex to all units," came a transmission. "Destroy those insects before they reach the barriers." But the fighters were already through the outer weapon ring. Jung led his squadron toward a service entrance on the station's lower arm. The gap was small, barely wide enough for two ships. "Follow me in," he told his pilots. "Stay close to the hull. Their big guns cannot fire down here." One by one, the fighters slipped through the energy barrier. Inside the station's defensive shell, they found maintenance tunnels and cargo bays. Areas the Assembly had never thought to heavily defend. "We are in," Young reported. "Beginning internal reconnaissance." While the fighters explored inside, Colonel Pak Un-young prepared her Marines for boarding action. They loaded into assault shuttles designed to look like cargo ships. Hopefully, the station's sensors would not notice them until it was too late. "Remember," she told her troops, "we are not here to kill everyone. We want to reach the assembly chamber and force them to listen. Only fight if you have to." The Marines had studied the station's layout for weeks. They knew where the important areas were. More importantly, they knew where the important areas were not. Commander Oh Se-young had found something interesting in the station's public communication networks. "Admiral, I can hack their information systems. Not the military networks, but the civilian ones." "What good will that do?" "Think about it. This station has 12 million people. They get news, entertainment, personal messages. If I can take control of their networks." Admiral Kim understood immediately. "We can tell our story directly to the people living there." Number 4. Exactly. Let them see the evidence for themselves. The plan was risky and complex. While Jung's fighters provided intelligence and cover, Pak's Marines would board the station and fight their way to the communication center. Oh would then hack the networks and broadcast the truth to everyone. The first part went well. The Marines' shuttles looked like normal supply ships. They docked at cargo bays, without being challenged. Pack led her troops through maintenance corridors toward the station's communication hub, but the assembly guard was not completely unprepared. High Commander Zixtal had studied human tactics after the earlier battle. He knew humans were tricky. Seal all maintenance areas, he ordered. Deploy security teams to protect critical systems. Pack's Marines found themselves fighting in narrow corridors against enemy soldiers who knew the station better than they did. The aliens were skilled warriors, but they had never faced humans before. They fight without honor, complained one assembly guard captain over the radio. They use tricks and traps. They use everything that works, Pack replied, throwing a smoke grenade around a corner. Honor does not stop bullets. The Marines moved through the station like water flowing downhill. When they met strong resistance, they went around it. When they found weak spots, they pushed through quickly. They carried portable cutting tools to make new paths through walls. Meanwhile, Jung's fighters had found something important. Hidden in the station's central core was a massive computer system. It was not connected to any outside networks, making it perfect for storing secrets. Admiral, Jung whispered into his radio. I think we found their classified database. Everything is here. Records going back centuries. Can you access it? Commander O is the computer expert, but I can get him here. O transferred from the flagship to a fighter and flew into the station. The computer system was huge and complex, but he had been studying assembly technology for months. This is it. He breathed as he began working. Every secret order, every hidden operation, every crime they ever committed. It is all here. Every secret order. Also. Resubscribe. Also. Every secret order. Every secret order. The assembly leadership was starting to panic. Human forces were inside their most secure facility, and they could not seem to stop them. The defensive systems were designed to fight fleets, not small teams moving through maintenance tunnels. How did they get inside? Demanded High Counselor Yithara. They are like parasites, Qualvex replied. They get into places they should not be able to reach. Then burn them out. Use the internal defense systems. We tried. They move too fast and know the station layout too well. What the assembly leaders did not understand was that humans had spent months studying every public blueprint and technical manual they could find. The station was supposed to be secret, but its basic design was taught in assembly engineering schools. Dr. Chang Woo-suk had prepared detailed maps for the assault teams. He knew which corridors led where, which systems controlled what, and how everything connected. The breakthrough came when O finally cracked the central database. Millions of files flooded onto his portable computer. Orders for secret wars. Plans to eliminate troublesome species. Records of genocide disguised as natural disasters. Got it, he announced. Uploading everything to the communication array now. The station's information network suddenly filled with classified documents. Every screen, every personal device, every entertainment system began showing the assembly's dark secrets. The 12 million people living on the station could see the truth for themselves. More importantly, the signals were being broadcast across the galaxy. Every world with communication equipment could receive the transmission. The assembly's crimes were being exposed to billions of witnesses. In the assembly chamber, the council members watched in horror as their secrets filled the air. Species they had betrayed saw the evidence of their betrayal. Worlds they had manipulated learned about the manipulation. Turn it off, screamed High Counselor Yithara. Cut the transmission. But it was too late. The information was already spreading faster than they could stop it. And, somewhere in the station's corridors, Colonel Pack's Marines were still fighting their way toward the chamber itself. The most powerful beings in the galaxy were about to meet the species they had tried to destroy. Ambassador Min Jun Park walked into the assembly chamber through a hole Colonel Pack's Marines had cut in the wall. The grand hall was enormous. with seats for representatives from 847 worlds arranged in circles around a central platform. Most of those seats were empty now. Many species had fled when the shooting started. The ones who remained stared at Park in shock and fear. These were the most powerful beings in the galaxy, rulers of worlds and civilizations. They had never expected to see a human in their sacred chamber, especially not one flanked by armed marines. High Counselor Yithara stood at the central podium. She was 12 feet tall, with skin like polished silver and eyes that glowed like stars. She had ruled the transcendent hierarchy for 3,000 years and led the assembly for 500 more. "This is an outrage," she declared, her voice echoing through the chamber. "You dare invade the heart of galactic civilization? You will face justice for this crime." Park walked slowly to the center of the chamber. He carried no weapons. His uniform was simple and practical. Compared to the elaborate robes and armor of the alien leaders, he looked almost ordinary. "Justice," Park said quietly. "You speak of justice while ordering genocide?" The chamber's viewing screen still showed the classified documents Oh Se-young had released. Files with Yithara's digital signature, authorizing the human hunting operations. Communication records between assembly leaders discussing how to divide human territory. "Those documents are fabricated," Yithara protested. "Human lies designed to justify your aggression." Park gestured to Colonel Pack, who placed a datapad on the central platform. "These are the weapon fragments from our destroyed colonies. Assembly technology. Current production models. Some still have your manufacturing codes." Dr. Chang Wusok's voice came through the chamber speakers via radio link. He was still aboard the human flagship, analyzing the captured data. "Council members," Chang said, "I have just finished reviewing your classified archives. 43 species have been eliminated under assembly orders in the past 1,000 years. You call them natural extinction events in your public records." Murmurs of shock and anger rippled through the remaining representatives. Many of them had never known about the secret operations. Counselor Vexhai, the Zephyrian who had dismissed Park months earlier, buzzed his wings nervously. "The human is lying. These documents prove nothing." "Really?" Park turned to face him. "Should I read the orders you signed? Personally? The ones authorizing Saurian hunting fleets to test human defensive capabilities?" Vexhai's compound eyes reflected the light frantically. He said nothing. Park continued, his voice growing stronger. "For 3 months, we came here peacefully. We followed your rules. We waited in your reception areas. We asked politely for help. Do you remember what you told us?" He looked around the chamber, meeting the alien gazes. "You said we were too primitive to deserve attention. You said our problems were not your concern. You told us to come back in 1,000 years. The chamber was quiet, except for the hum of machinery and the distant sounds of fighting in the corridors outside. While we waited for your permission to exist," Park said, 17 of our colonies were destroyed. Hundreds of thousands of people died. Families were torn apart. Children were orphaned. All with assembly approval. High Counselor Yithara raised herself to her full height. "The galaxy cannot be governed by the complaints of every minor species. Difficult decisions must be made for the greater good." "Whose greater good?" Park demanded. "Yours?" "The established order must be maintained. Primitive species must be guided carefully, or they become dangerous." Park laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Dangerous? We came here asking for protection. The only thing we ever wanted was to be left alone, to live our lives. And instead, you invaded our capital with a war fleet. After you ignored our peaceful requests and authorized our genocide." Park's voice was calm, but his eyes were angry. "What did you expect us to do? Wait quietly while you exterminated our species?" Yithara gestured at the Marines standing guard around the chamber. "Look at yourselves. You prove our point. Humans are violent and aggressive. You cannot be trusted with galactic citizenship." "We are violent when we have to be," Park agreed. When our families are threatened, when our children are murdered, when civilized diplomacy fails because the civilized people are actually savages wearing fancy clothes. The words hit the chamber like physical blows. Several alien representatives stood up in outrage. Others sat in stunned silence. "You dare call us savages?" Yithara's voice was filled with fury. "What else should I call beings who hunt children for sport?" Park replied. "What else should I call leaders who authorize genocide and then act surprised when the victims fight back?" Commander O's voice came through the speakers again. "The broadcast is reaching every world in the galaxy now. The response is significant." Through the chamber's communication systems, they could hear reports from across known space. The Cetacean Federation was withdrawing from all assembly agreements. The Silicon Collective was demanding immediate investigations. Dozens of species were calling for Yithara's removal from power. "Your authority was built on lies," Park told the assembly leaders. "You convinced the galaxy that you were wise and just, that you protected the weak and guided the primitive. Now everyone can see what you really are." Counselor Thekmore of the warrior clans stood up. He was one of the few aliens in the chamber who looked ashamed rather than angry. "The human speaks truth," Thekmore said heavily. "I voted for the hunting authorization. I was told it was a standard species evaluation. I did not know." "You did not want to know," Park interrupted gently. "It was easier to trust the leadership than to ask hard questions." Other representatives began speaking. Some defended their actions. Others admitted they had been deceived. A few demanded immediate reforms. High Counselor Yithara watched her authority crumble around her. "What do you want?" she finally asked Park. "What we always wanted," Park replied. "Justice. Protection for developing species instead of exploitation. Honest leadership instead of hidden genocide. A galaxy where all civilized beings can live in peace. And if we refuse?" Park looked around the chamber at the alien leaders. Some were angry, some were scared, some looked thoughtful. "Then you refuse," he said simply. "But the galaxy is watching now. They have seen the evidence. They know the truth. You can no longer hide behind lies and pretty words." The vote, when it came, was closer than expected. Many species demanded immediate reforms and new leadership. Others wanted to maintain the old order. But the evidence was too strong and the pressure too great. Yithara was removed from power that same day. The Assembly Charter was rewritten to include protections for developing species. New oversight committees were formed to prevent future genocides. The changes were not perfect. Some alien leaders remained hostile to humans and other young species. But the galaxy was different now. The Assembly's absolute authority was broken. Truth and accountability had replaced fear and secrecy. 6 months later, Ambassador Park stood in the same assembly chamber. But now he wore the blue sash of a full assembly representative. Humans had been granted immediate membership and full diplomatic status. The waiting room where he had once been ignored was now used for storage. No species was forced to wait months for basic courtesy. The new assembly motto, carved above the chamber doors, read simply, "Justice for all, not just the strong." As Park prepared for another day of galactic diplomacy, he received a message from Admiral Kim. The human fleet had returned to Earth as heroes. But more importantly, they had returned as equals. No longer would humanity face the galaxy alone. The horror the galaxy had witnessed was not human violence, but human determination to seek justice even when justice seemed impossible. And sometimes, Park reflected, the most horrifying thing of all was being forced to confront the truth about yourself.